Well, now we know. It's the gunship. Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. It is the weekend. I think Comic-Con is still happening as I'm recording this, but it is the week after Comic-Con as you are seeing this probably. 2025, in case you're here from the distant future. Did we make it? And I don't really have a script for this one. Not a clear sense of what I want to say, but I did want to talk about the Gunship Haslab reveal. And then I wanted to go into my last figure standing top 10 for this year because it seemed like the right time to do that. The first thing I'll say, though, longtime viewers of the channel will know this, but I really do try to keep this a positive space, meaning like a place to share enthusiasm for the hobby. I try not to rant much. Occasionally I do rant. I tried to discourage ranting in the comments because, again, it's not really about policing how other people enjoy this pursuit. That would be ridiculous. This is toys. So this is toys and a movie, an all ages movie from 50 years ago that we all love. So it would be ridiculous to be a jerk about it at all, which is a lengthy way of saying, genuinely, for the people who think that the Haslab Republic Gunship is exactly what they wanted or is something that they're really excited about, this video is not about me arguing otherwise. I'm so happy for you, and for those guys, I hope it funds. I truly do. I will not be backing the Gunship. The primary reason for that is just genuinely, I still love the original Gunship. I know it's scaled poorly. I know it doesn't have the pods. I still think of that as one of the all-time great Star Wars toys. Emphasis on the word toys. Like, it was so chunky. It had the handle on the back that you could fly it around. Like, it really felt like in 2002 they made something that would fit perfectly with my Kenner Millennium Falcon from like back when I was 5. So I have no need to get a new Gunship. I'm very happy with the Gunship that's already been done. One point that I've seen many people making, and I will echo slightly, is that I really still do see, it's funny. I consider myself a Haslab person, right? Like, I really think of myself as very pro Haslab as a business model, as a way for Hasbro to do these kind of wish list items. I backed the barge when it brought out. And what's funny about that is I literally haven't backed one since. And yet I still consider myself very pro Haslab. I didn't back the Razor Crest. That was the one where I got the closest, but I didn't back it because at the end of the day, I like the Mandalorian, but I don't love the Mandalorian, and it is a big chunk of space on the shelf. So I just ended up not pulling the trigger. I got pretty close with the Ghost as well, but much bigger version of the same problem there where it's freaking gargantuan, and I just couldn't realistically see where it would fit in my home. And then with the Cantina, like, I'm a Jabba's Palace guy. Like, I just sort of have, like, there's part of the palace, there's part of the palace, there's the barge, right? Like, I'm just into Jabba stuff. It didn't seem to make sense to add the Cantina. As I've said on this channel before, there are a lot of Haslab ideas that I would happily back, but they're all from newer stuff. They'd all be stuff like the Fondor, the U-Wing, the Marauder, the obvious things that we know. I would not say no to, this brings me back to my point. I would not say no to a Sandcrawler. I probably would say no to a Death Star because I don't really care. But so my point is, I will not say that Haslabs should never be about stuff that has already been made. This was the original point that I was going to make, is that I've seen a lot of people say that, Haslabs should be for big dream, wish list items that have never been done before. Part of me would love that to be true, but I get that it's not realistic, that there are things that would be perfectly suitable for a Haslab, like the Sandcrawler, that we're never going to get in mainline. But I'm beginning to feel like we're never going to get large vehicles in mainline ever again anyway. Like, it's kind of over. So even the TIE Avenger, which, God, even 2 or 3 years ago, I would have thought would have been a slam dunk before the show even comes out, released from Hasbro for the Vintage Collection. The fact that they didn't do that suggests to me, 1, we're never going to get it. 2, it would only ever have been done as a Haslab, and the fact that it wasn't done as a Haslab this year means, again, back to 1, we're never going to get it. My point is, I don't think going forward it's realistic to expect Haslabs to only be things that have never been made before. I think going into the next 2 years, it is inevitable the next year's Haslab is something we've had before, right? Like, if the theorizing holds true and next year's Haslab is Star Wars focused, 1977 Star Wars focused, whether it's the Sandcrawler or a Death Star or whatever, to celebrate the 50th anniversary in 2027. Obviously, those have been done before in, much cruder forms, but they have been done before. So it's inevitable that we're going to get into conceptual reuse as we continue down the line of these Haslabs. The only other thing I'll say is this reveal of the gunship made me realize, kind of like, I was thinking about the vintage collection as a whole a month ago in that video about what we lost when we went to the vintage collection. It made me realize that a lot of my thinking about the way Hasbro's strategy is going to work is just wrong. We're never going to get a Fondor Haslab. It's just not important enough, especially now, it's barely in season 2. That became unlikely a while ago. That was never going to happen. We're never going to get the Marauder, guys. Like, the fact that they have now released 2 Bad Batchers and have pipelined the other 2. I'll address Omega in a minute, but that says though they would not be doing that if they had any intention of having the Marauder be a Haslab in the future, because they would want to put the Bad Batch, unproduced Bad Batch characters into the tiers to drive sales. So forget it. We're never getting the Marauder. We're never getting the Fondor, like I said. We're never getting the TIE Avenger. The aims of the Haslab project, I think, are going to be a lot closer to the middle now, and a lot more just, again, big vehicles that even 5 or 10 years ago would have been part of the line, that they're just going to be Haslab stuff from now on. And you know what sucks about that is, that means we're getting one. We're getting one a year, or maybe one every 2 years, and that's going to be it, Like, even that, everyone was freaking out about the price of that TIE Advanced last month, rightly so. I mean, that's insane, $130 for a TIE fighter. Like, that's just crazy. But by the same token, $450 for a Republic gunship is also crazy. And I don't care how many action figures it ends up coming with, whether it's 2 or 5, the math ain't mathin' on that one. That is really, really costly for something that, again, I bought my first one at a Walmart for, if I'm not mistaken, 35 Canadian dollars. So, woo! So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about the Haslab. I said this on the Actface site the other day. I still think it's going to fund. As of today, it's Sunday afternoon. It's almost at 2,000, which is low. That's not good news. But I still feel like with 43 days to go, it's going to get over 8,000 by the skin of its teeth. I would not look to see any of the tiers being unlocked. I think that's extremely unlikely. But I do think it'll get over 8,000 once dealers start buying a few and things like that. But obviously, this is going to be the weakest Haslab so far. And that has downstream implications that I'm not willing to speculate about, because what the hell do I know? But while we're here, the cunning folks at Last Figure Standing have decided to move Last Figure Standing up a little bit this year. It's happening in August. I can't remember what the start date is, but I'll try to link to it from the description of this video. But I wanted to astonish you all with my ever-evolving list of the 10 figures I most want in the vintage collection. And I said astonish you all because none of you, if you've ever watched this before, you will not be even slightly surprised. So a couple of provisos off the top. Thing one is, yes, I was extremely tempted to have nothing but Andor characters on my ballot this year. But the reality is, I also like other of the recent television series, so they are included. Thing two, as I said earlier, it looks like almost the entire Bad Batch is on its way. So I'm leaving them off. I'm hoping that I'm right. Similarly, Jason Yakface now has The Stranger named as an upcoming TVC release. I believe that that is certainly true. Now that they've announced the Black Series version of the same character, I assume we will be seeing a TVC announcement for The Stranger in a matter of months, so The Stranger will not be on my ballot this year. I think those are my provisos. Here is the list. In number one, I've mentioned this several times. For me, the Bad Batch is not complete without the Bad Batch's main character, which is Omega. So my number one pick for the vintage collection remains, I talked about her in my Black Series video just last week, Omega. Mercenary Omega in my case, but as I've said before, any Omega will do, but I'm putting Mercenary Omega on my ballot. And then slot number two, another perennial favorite of mine, also in my Black Series collection, as you would have seen last week. I've decided, since we are getting The Stranger, screw it, I'll go one more Acolyte character. I would like Jackie to be able to duel The Stranger in my collection alongside her master, Master Saul. I think it's next to impossible that that's going to happen. I really do believe the Stranger will be the very last Acolyte figure we ever see in the Vintage Collection. But what the hell? This is a wish list, and that is my fondest wish. My number 2 most wanted figure, Jackie Lon. And now we get into the Andor stuff, and this is really where it gets tricky, because honestly, with Andor, I will take anything that they make at this point. There are a couple of rumored TVC Andor figures coming. Hasbro being Hasbro, I got to assume they are probably a repaint of Cassian and a repaint of Director Krennic. We might get lucky and get a soldier, but hoping that someone at Hasbro's product team ever sees this video or the results of the ballot, I will be voting for 2 Andor characters next. My number 3, new to the list this year. She's never been on the list before, but if you've ever seen an episode of Andor Season 2, you know why. It's Clea Markey. I think I'm going to go with her just in her regular Luthen's Shop outfit. Pack her with a blaster, I'll be perfectly happy. But obviously, again, any version of Clea, whether it's her in disguise as a nurse, whether it's her crashing Skulldun's ball, whatever, I'll take it. Clea must join the line. And then number 4, has been on the list before, but not in this look, Cyril Karn in his Gorman revolutionary garb. So, from what is, for my money, not just the best episode of Andor, but probably the best, 40 minutes of Star Wars that we've had in 40 years, the Gorman Massacre episode, episode 8, I believe, of Andor Season 2, Who Are You? That moment, that moment at the end of that episode with Cyril and Cass is stunning. It will haunt me for the rest of my life. So that's 1 through 4, and for 5 through 8, I'm gonna burn 4 votes in a row because I honestly cannot pick between them. So they're all coming in on my list. It's the entire Skeleton crew. It's Neil, it's KB, it's Wim, and it's Fern. They're all going on my ballot this year. I want all 4. I'm not going to pick. Yes, Hasbro, I'm serious. This all has to happen. Please and thank you, shut up. And then finally, 9th place, a perennial part of my list for going back many, many years now, Ben Solo, Exegol. Real big miss from Hasbro as far as I'm concerned. I will continue to take pretty much any Vintage Collection figures from either The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker. There are so many characters and so many interesting looks and things from those movies to do, but for me, it comes down to Ben Solo in the comfy boyfriend sweater with the hole in it, shrugging to the guards on Exegol before he kicks their ass. That is it. That is an absolute, for a movie I don't particularly care for, that is an all-timer Star Wars moment, and it is insane that 6 years later, we still do not have a Kylo Ren or a Ben Solo from that movie. And then finally, in 10th place, and only in 10th place, honestly, because I do think of all of the Andor characters, he is the most likely to join the line in the next year. Obviously, Luthen Rael, one of the most magnificent performances in the history of Star Wars, an absolutely iconic character. I am listing him in his Ferrex outfit, basically how we meet him in episode 1, but I could see them doing him in his the great speech mode with the evil cloak and whatever. I'll take it. Luthen is a must. My days of dreaming that they would do a Fondor Haslab and that it would come with like a switch out Luthen, so you could have like gallery Luthen and then you'd like rotate a thing inside the Fondor and then revolutionary Luthen would come out. We used to be a real society, Star Wars fans. So thank you very much for watching, and as always, thank you for your kind comments. Please feel free to leave your comments below in terms of what you're looking for in Last Figure Standing. And if you're excited about this year's Haslab, I would love to see some of that enthusiasm. It's always very fun to see. Once again, I'll just remind everybody, this is a positive fan space. So we're really here to talk about the things that we enjoy, not the things that piss us off, even though, we know there are plenty of the latter. But yeah, I appreciate you guys as always. Do have a wonderful week, and I will be back shortly. Got my entire August wave at once. So I will be doing in no particular order, Ventress, Carson, Callus, and Crosshay. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great week.